Welcome to the latest this week's Acca podcast, sponsored by Sky Bet Acca Freeze. I'm Tom, joined by Jake and Jimmy as ever to run through the schedule. Coming up on this episode, then, we're keeping it simple, we think, with 5 teams at the top of the tables back for success. There's a few games in the Premier League that have caught our eye as well, and we explain how a new movie release can, in theory, raise spirits. Let us know your thoughts in the comments or through Sport and Live Football social media channels, and remember to keep it fun. Never bet more you can afford. This podcast is 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly. Let's start off, as we always do then, by looking at last week's Acca. 3 wins, a draw and a loss. Wrexham at home to Bradford. What the hell's going on there?
Hell.
We'd also like to congratulate Notts County on their first away win since October, I think it was.
Since records began.
Having backed Newport in the edition of Route 1.
Yeah.
That didn't pay off for us. After a couple of weeks of coming close, we've gone back a little bit.
Well, last Saturday, I was watching Soccer Saturday, whatever you call it.
That's the name of the programme.
Yeah, it's on Saturday.
It had a chance until late. There were 2 winning, 3 drawing. And then someone scored, which was good. Was it MK?
MK Dons took the lead.
Yeah.
We've got chance, 2 late goals, and then Bradford scored, didn't they? Yep. Broke our hearts. And that one we Notts County on Tuesday. We got so much support from county fans in the comments saying, I'm 100% going against our team today. 3-0 down in the first half.
We Fly EMA is his username on YouTube, right? Comment before, so he obviously watches most of them. So he's a Notts County fan, and he said, no chance, teams have figured us out. So a lot of them were on board, and it clocks him at We Fly EMA, okay. East Midlands Airport, Nottingham. I've worked out his username.
You cracked it.
There we go. That was not the surprise one, because that was the outsider from the midweek Route 1 one, and that was the kind of the riskier one of the two. And then Salford, who have been in absolutely brilliant form against Doncaster, who are rubbish away from home, decided to throw in a draw. So, what the hell is going on in football, please?
Looking at this comment, it seems as though fans of their own clubs need to have a bit more, confidence in their own club. Because last week someone said, just jumped on this and had it again, and added Hull as well. I'm a Swansea fan, and I don't see us getting anything at Hull. And then Swansea went and won. So maybe you need a little bit more faith in your own teams.
Everyone's pessimistic about their own club, though.
It's true.
Actually, Jimmy, who basically says Blades are going to win every week.
The Blades are going up.
They did at Luton.
Finally.
Yeah, it'll be the 2 winners from Monday. Losers. Sorry,
It's claimed winners already.
By the time this Acca goes live this weekend, it'll be 81 days without a winner. 81. That's over 2 months. Pretty damning. And guess what you could have done in that time?
Go on. Is this the calculation you were doing before?
Yeah.
We had to delay the record of this because Jimmy's going, no, I need to work this out. What could we have been doing in 81 days?
You could have watched Alex Ravel's Worldie and Steve Evans bombing down the touchline in the playoff final 2.8 million times.
Nice. So we're talking from the turn and the volley, was it, in, to Steve Evans completing his run down the touchline with the jacket going. We're counting that.
Of course,
that time period.
Steve Evans related.
Yeah, he's just signed a new contract.
Yes, congratulations, Steve Evans, on his new contract at Stevenage.
Yeah, it's brilliant news for both of us. I'm absolutely delighted.
Over the moon for him, yeah.
This week's Acca then. Let's get straight into it because, again, for the second week in a row, I've got it in front of me, we have 5 Premier League games to go at.
Woohoo!
Second week in a row, it's a rare treat. Let's start in the Premier League because, again, it's a nice opportunity to talk about it. Where do we want to go first?
Well, I'll take this one off your hands, Stuff, man. As you know, 81 days it'll be without a winner. We need all the help we can get. Yeah. Please help us. So we've been putting out a poll, bankers, and the most popular pick, Arsenal 1-3 at Burnley.
Yes.
And that's as good a place as any to start.
Yes, I had this one down. Then I actually click on an option on that poll that went out on your account to actually see the results, and it was overwhelmingly in favour of this pick, wasn't it? And I'm all on board with this. Short price, but frankly, it's one of those where I feel that this Acca particularly, there's a number of games here where we just don't have to overthink it a bit, and I would say this is one of those games that, short price, yes, but it's not like a Man City at home at 1-6 type job. Burnley have conceded 3+ goals in 7 of the 8 games they've played against those currently in the top 5.
Shit.
So it's not as if they're going, they're springing a surprise. Their only home win was that huge one against the Blades, which ended Paul Heckingbottom's kind of reign at the club.
I don't know what you're talking about. Don't remember it.
Defeats in all 7 of those against those in the top half, I think it is. And Arsenal have won all 10 games against those currently 13th or below. What could go wrong?
Absolutely nothing.
Well, knowing our luck,
Yeah.
they're going to win. I'd initially just completely flipped past this one just at the price, but as you said, it seems like a fairly open goal. Arsenal fresh off a 6-0 win last time out. Their away form has picked up. They used to be known as 2-3 years ago a really poor travelling team. That's the opposite now. They're a really strong travelling team. So yeah, I'm happy to kick things off and start with a fairly shortish banker, as the tweet suggests.
Yeah, I'd say it's a banker. Do you know what I can't believe? The Arsenal's game before last against Liverpool was seen as if they do not win, they're out of the title race.
Yeah.
How quick have things changed? Because they followed that up with an absolute battering at West Ham. And the only thing I've got to add on this game that hasn't been said is you've got the best side at set pieces against the worst.
Yes. What happened last week? To your delight, I imagine, in the Arsenal-West Ham game.
I knew you were going to...
Both centre-backs scored.
Oh, yeah. And
Against an opposition, you wouldn't typically think,
No,
we're going to have some luck here from set pieces.
Gabriel got a brace as well in the 5-0 win against Palace. That was at the end of January. So
Ooh.
the centre-backs are cooking, and if there's ever a game you want to play, if you're a goal-scoring centre-back, it's a trip to Turf Moor in the Premier League, surely.
Who would have ever thought?
Yeah, hey,
you'd
imagine,
be saying that?
imagine that you've not followed football for a few years. You go, I might get back into it. Oh, Sean Dyche's Burnley at Turf Moor. And then you've just heard that. How times have changed.
I might get back into football. Ooh, Sean Dyche's Burnley at Turf Moor. That's where I'm going to start.
Man City have a game in hand over Liverpool and Arsenal, right? But they've all won 16 games. Arsenal currently are 2 points off Liverpool, who are top. Level on points of Man City. Let's say Man City win that game in hand, they're 3 points. You kind of touched on it there about the title race. I think we're going to have Arsenal in the Acca.
Mm-hmm.
Are Arsenal capable of winning the title this year? Verdict on that.
I think
It's always like Liverpool and Man City. Man City now, although KDB's back.
Mm-hmm. And
Everyone's kind of coming back. They're going to start kicking on as they always do in the second half of the season. And Arsenal haven't really been in that conversation. But maybe that'll benefit them this time.
No, I think the football football gods, they've absolutely blessed us with a free host title race. We haven't seen one of these in years. And where I think Arsenal had the edge over last season is obviously they got the experience, the heartbreak, but they're not leading. There was at Christmas, but they fell off in January.
You're saying they did that on purpose?
No, but I'm saying I think it
I
suits.
think long term.
Yeah,
it is.
have a wobble.
Mikel, doesn't it, to be chasing.
Chasing.
I think the pressure's always nicer if you're gunning for something instead of looking over your shoulder. So I'm excited.
Yeah,
For yours title race.
I backed Arsenal Liverpool to start the season to win the league. Thank you. And yeah, it was just
Don't get
purely
the
based on the fact that I think Arsenal are set up better this time around. And there's a lot of talk about the fact that they were winning games, not playing their best. It's completely the opposite to last year, where they were playing really well, blowing teams away, and then they kind of ran out of steam. Hopefully, as Jim said, they're kind of just pacing themselves a little bit this time around. I give them a good chance. But
What price were they at the start of the season?
you were getting 5s and 6s.
You 6s now.
Right.
So the question is, yes or no, would you take Arsenal at 6-1 to win the title now?
Absolutely. Yes.
Probably the value play of the three, aren't they?
Just before we kind of wrap up and put Arsenal in the
Go on.
Acca, are you at all concerned that they play away in Porto in the Champions League a couple of days after this?
No.
No. Okay. Let's do it.
I think, to be fair, now
Asked and answered.
it's a balance, though, isn't it? Now that they can't just go, we've got a Champions League game at Porto. With the greatest respect, it could have been a lot tougher
Could have been, yeah.
in terms of the games that they had. So they're not just going to go, let's make wholesale changes for this vital Premier League game that they're in. No concern for me.
No concern.
Take Arsenal.
Yeah. I think even if they did make changes, the depth is strong enough, isn't it, to be able to deal with Burnley?
Second week in a row, then, that we've agreed with the poll that we've put out on Twitter. The first pick of this week's Acca, it's a short price one, but it comes from the Premier League. It is Arsenal for an away win at Burnley. We've got Arsenal to beat Burnley then as the first pick of this week's Acca. Before we move on and go into the FL, as we usually do, naturally, that's where the majority of the fixtures are, I should say. Do we want to mention any other Premier League games, make a case for any other teams that could make up a second pick of the Acca?
Yeah, I'd be quite happy to make it a North London double to start the Acca. Spurs at home to Wolves. The price may be, again, a little bit short for some 4 to 7, but we're talking about a team that have won 9 of 12 home league games. The defeats came to Chelsea, where they had 9 men. Villa, who are a good team, and they played with the Davies and Emerson centre-back partnership with no Bissouma, no Sarr, no Richarlison. And then West Ham, which came after a 3-3 draw at the Etihad, which was incredibly draining, as you can imagine. No Sarr, no Van der Ven. And yeah, they've beaten every bottom half team they've played so far this season. They're averaging 2.1 expected goals for per game. They're averaging over 2 goals scored per game at home. And Wolves, I think the way in which Wolves play should suit Spurs. It's similar to Brighton in the sense that they play quite open, they play quite free, they give you chances. I think the Spurs team are much more clinical than like a Chelsea team that they played and beat a couple of weeks ago.
Jimmy's shaking his head.
Could not disagree more. Wolves, I think they've got a reputation of running the big guns, the big six, the biggest
Not a
and
very
best
strong one.
sides.
I want to back Spurs, is it?
What? What do you mean?
Reputation is not a very, very strong one. I'm happy to take them on.
No, well, I'm disagreeing with you. I don't think the way Wolves play suits Tottenham one bit. And you look at how Wolves have gone on. Chelsea, obviously, there's not much between them in the league, but they're still a big six club. Beat them 4-2. And we're talking about the dynamic of the game. Chelsea aren't going to go out and adapt how they play to any other side, really, apart from maybe Man City. Liverpool, they're going to play their own game. Wolves battered them. Arsenal, it was much too close for comfort. 2-1 it finished, but if we're having them in Acca 6-10, I want a little more breathing space than that. Man U on the first game of the season, Wolves were desperately unlucky. At home, they're beaten Tottenham,
that game was
beaten Man City, drawn with Villa, drawn with Newcastle, beaten Chelsea, lost to 4.
This is away from home.
3 Villa. No, I think there's enough games to go at home and away to show that Wolves against the biggest and best sides in the division, they can initiate a game plan that will make this a closer game than the odds imply, and that's why I don't want them in an Acca.
I think just looking at Wolves' recent away results then, beat Chelsea, of course. They beat West Brom, who division below, Derby, stuff like that, but West Brom have a pretty good reputation as a home side in the Championship. Drew at Brighton, drew at Brentford in the Cup, and then annihilated Brentford 4-1 just before that as well.
I don't think it's an outlandish statement to say Tottenham are the best team they'll have played in that run of fixtures. They're a better team than Chelsea, hands down. They've got the players back, Van der Ven, Romero back, Bissouma's back, Son's back from the Asian Cup. Like they are fully fit for the first time in a long while, and I think this Spurs team are one of the best 4 teams in the league.
If you want it, a North London double is even money this weekend.
I think that's a good place to start. But Jim Rod seems to vehemently disagree with me.
Yeah, I'd just say it.
And Cunha's a doubt as well, which is a big...
Huang's back, I guess, and I know they're
back.
different
players. I'd like to see them both together.
Stuff, but is there anywhere else we can maybe look at and come to a nice agreement, shake hands, and we'll be friends again?
Not in the Premier League for me, no. I really like Arsenal at Turf Moor, but there's just too much making me uncomfortable about the game with Tottenham and Wolves.
Last chance to say any Prem ones.
I'd got Forest at home to West Ham down here at 6-4. I think the price is a little bit big. I don't think there's much between these two teams. Forest obviously welcome back key players from the AFCON, which I think obviously strengthens their spine more than anything. But they've been scoring plenty. I mean, they've scored 13 times in 7 games under Nuno. Again, if someone just woke up after 2 years out and was like, I'm going to watch a Nuno team, and they end up scoring loads of goals. And then West Ham, winless in 5 league games. They looked so bad last week. They looked bereft of ideas in attack without Paquetá, who's the main guy. And then I was looking at this, like, why the hell did they sell Fornals and Beram? It must have been FFP related, right? Because they've got no other options in attack. Antonio's injured. Like, Bowen is basically trying to steer the ship himself with Kudus, and now Paqueta's injured. Where the hell are they creating the
Ings
chances?
hasn't hit the ground running whatsoever, has he?
Exactly.
In there.
So Forest would be one I'd be leaning to, but I don't think they're going to make the Acca. I'd probably do that as a single.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because Nuno went to Saudi Arabia, didn't he? Like reinvented himself as a coach when he was over there. His Al Ittihad was there before the influx of loads of kind of big money signings.
He did fall out with Benzema, didn't he?
Yeah, they'd won the title, reinvented himself as this 4-2-3-1 attacking type coach, and then it's shown in kind of the results that they've had, and that's why I just can't put Forest in any Acca because unless it's goals related.
Yeah, no, I think
on that
goals
board.
is this one as well. The price on overs in this game, it's 2.5 the line. You're getting about 4 to 5. That looks a good bet to me.
Decent over 2.5 Acca pick, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Into the champ then, Jim Rod, because you touched on it there. Where would we like to go first? Or
Yeah, I think go back to the poll's second most popular pick. The people, 20% of 250 votes wanted Leicester 4-6.
What's that? How many people's that?
7, somewhere between 7 and 100.
Okay. Yeah, I mean technically you're correct. We'll go for more accurately 50 odd.
Yeah.
But Talk to us about that game then. What was it, Leicester to beat Middlesbrough?
Oh, well, I don't know about you two, but I didn't want this in the Acca.
I love it.
I love it.
Leicester.
I love it. 8-13 on Leicester, who are 12 points clear at the top of the division.
The price is huge,
It
mate.
just seems like so many people, every accumulator this weekend is just going to have Leicester in it. Surely every week everyone's going to
Every
have Leicester in it,
weekend,
and just
yeah.
accept that it is going to slip you up eventually. You know, a couple of times it
This
may.
week. I think it's going to be this week.
No,
Let me tell you why. Because if you both want it in, I'm just going to have to bend over and let you put Leicester in, aren't I? But I've just got something in the bottom of my stomach. I like Michael Carrick. I think he's a good coach. I think he's been
yeah,
absolutely
nobody's doubting that.
shafted by the club or the sporting director or whatever in terms of transfers, letting best players go. I know, like you can't turn down the money that they got offered for Rodgers and whatnot, but yeah, I think it's a tricky club to manage. And looking at him, like, do you know, for these big games, he's good at like little tactical tweaks and, do you know, these one-off big games, like setting his team out in a way to win those 90 minutes. Over the course of the season, yeah, they've been really poor. Someone tipped him top 6, and I'm happy to write that off now.
No, that's not quite.
That's not trumpet, is it?
13th Middlesbrough sit at the moment.
Yes.
13th.
Thank you,
in
Tom. I'm well aware.
Just making everyone, making our listener aware.
But I'm talking about the one-off big games. The 1-0 at Chelsea at the Riverside. Ignore the second leg.
It's ironic because
Yeah,
we're talking about
which-
Middlesbrough
yeah.
being away. this
1-0.
year.
Let's ignore
We'll
the
the
relevant
6.
part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, ignore the relevant part. Just listen to the bit that suits me.
Okay.
Lost 1-0 against Villa, a game that was nip and tuck.
Also at the Riverside.
Yeah. They beat Southampton, beat West Brom, lost
Riverside.
3-2. I don't know if it was at the Riverside or
It's
not.
the Riverside.
Ran Leeds close 3-2 and 1-0 in the reverse. They beat
At the Riverside.
Leicester.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a good handful of games against the divisions and the league above's biggest and best sides.
Should we say it together?
Enough.
The Riverside.
I mean,
Enough
you can
me.
you can flip that though and say they went to Leeds, West Brom, and Coventry, lost in all those games, and conceded 3+ in each of those games.
You can if you want.
At home, no doubt. If it was 8-13 on Leicester at the Riverside,
Yeah, the question marks.
no. But 14 of Leicester's last 18 in all comps have been victories.
Yeah.
12 points clear at the top. In fact, it's kind of like, I don't know if you follow F1, right? But if you watched an F1 race last season, and I suspect it'll be the case this season when that starts in a few weeks' time, that Max Verstappen's in the race, okay? But you never see Max Verstappen in the race beyond the first, 10 laps. Because what'll happen is, they'll have the start, and maybe he'll drop to second, but he'll take the lead, and he'll just bomb off. And then what they do is, in the final half lap of the last lap, the camera will then pan back to Max Verstappen and show him crossing the line going, way, there we go. And then it'll go back to the action. This is effectively what Leicester are in the Championship. We're all going, oh, it's going to be Leeds, it's going to be Southampton, it's going to be Ipswich who's going to take that second spot? Because Leicester are the Max Verstappen of the Championship that nobody's
that
paying them any
comparison.
attention
Yeah.
because they're so far ahead, they're just not in any sort of conversation. And then you're getting 8-13 on them to win at home against
I think that's
the
a
team
really
sat
good analogy.
mid-table,
Yeah.
that you just don't have to pay attention to Leicester because they are quite literally like Verstappen's in races of his own. They're just in the cliche league of their own in the Championship.
They've won 13 of 16 at home, which is a phenomenal record.
Yeah.
But the thing that I liked was they played Sheffield Wednesday midweek, comfortably beat them. Sheffield Wednesday did okay in the second half, limited them a little bit. But Maresca told Leicester's players before that game that he would substitute them after 2 minutes if they let the standards drop. So he's basically, even though they're cantering to the title, he's still lighting a fire up there under their ass and making sure they're performing.
Their ass.
You like that?
They're so good the Leicester fans are getting bored, isn't it?
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
basically what's happening.
And
Here. He's just so good.
His actual quote was, "We are not allowed to drop anything. We haven't reached anything. We need to continue winning games." So he's not happy to just canter and draw a few here or not. They want to win football matches. They want to break the record probably. And I know Middlesbrough are a better team than Sheffield Wednesday. They're a better team than Swansea, the two teams they've played recently at home. But against Wednesday they were 1-3. Against Swansea they were 1-3. I would have expected 1-2 here for this game against Middlesbrough, and we're getting 4-6, 8-13.
Should we take it?
I think we take it.
Jim Rod?
I don't want it, but fine.
How about you can
You be like that.
kick us off with a third one? How about that? After this, not right now, but to balance it, I think we've got Arsenal in a Premier League title race. We've got Leicester as runaway leaders of the Championship, getting around 11-10, 6-5 on that double. Seems pretty nice to me.
Yep.
Happy? Second pick then of this week's Acca. Joining Arsenal for an away win at Burnley, we've got Leicester to beat Middlesbrough.
One thing we've all got in common is having that one leg of an Acca let us down. From spending your winnings in your head to cursing that last-minute equaliser that broke your heart. But it doesn't have to be that way. Acca Freeze from Sky Bet gives you the power to freeze a winning score early. Even if that team goes on to lose, Sky Bet will settle it as a winner. It's time to take action. It's time to Acca Freeze and end the game your way. Visit skybet.com for full terms and conditions.
As ever then, Acca Freeze time. One pick from each of us to include in your accumulator. Teams you think are going to get the job done, but you've got that little bit of safety net as well there. I'm going to kick things off this week. Ipswich are around even money to win away at Swansea, having won 4-0 at Millwall. Swansea against Leeds. Leeds were good, don't get me wrong, but Swansea just completely played into their hands. Ipswich are probably going to get the same sort of treatment here, so you can get even money on a team who are still in the promotion race there. So Ipswich away at Swansea for me. Jake?
Staying in the Championship. At the other end of the table, Sheffield Wednesday at Millwall. It's actually quite a big game, this. It's only 7 points between the teams. Millwall are now just above the relegation zone. As you said, got absolutely spanked in midweek by Ipswich. They've lost 4 of the last 5 against some bad teams as well. QPR beat them 2-0. And Sheffield Wednesday, decent performance against Leicester in midweek. And I think that, well, they are fast starters in general. I think they can get in front.
Around 5-2 at the moment. Nice price. Jim Rod, where are we going? Where are you taking us this week?
Sky Bet League One.
Oh.
Yep, changed my mind. Tricked you.
Yeah.
Stevenage at Derby. I don't think Derby are going to give them the respect they deserve, and I'd set to Steve Evans' masterclass.
There we go then. They are this week, or I should say our Acca Freeze picks. Back to this week's Acca. We've got Arsenal, we've got Leicester then, and I want to pick up on a team I just mentioned in the Acca Freeze section there. Ipswich are around even money away at Swansea. That seems quite big to me. Ipswich were on an awful run of form. Leeds caught up to them, Southampton caught up to them. They're both now overtaken them basically in the table. But Swansea, I mean, Ipswich did win, of course, at Millwall, but Swansea, watching them against Leeds were really good on Tuesday, but it was like Swansea just playing into their hands. We're just like, yeah, we could take you on, and Leeds have gone, no, you can't. We're better than you. And then basically what's happened is that Leeds have absolutely torn them apart. I could potentially see a similar case with this Ipswich side. I don't know. This is why I wanted to throw it out there. You're getting around even money on Ipswich to win this game. I just don't know. I want some thoughts.
My initial thoughts.
No thoughts.
Don't overrush it at once.
The price looks a little bit big. Obviously, we're not saying Ipswich are a better team or as good a team as Leeds, but Leeds went off about 1 to 2-ish, 6 to 10, and you're getting close to even money for a team that are, a couple of points behind them at the moment. I could definitely be won over here. The only kind of issue is that we had Hull last week. Swansea Bitters went there and won. Sorry, they didn't make the Acca, but they were a team that I wanted to back. I just wonder if it might be a case of them playing at home. They're a little bit more stubborn in their approach, maybe a bit more flexible away from home. Might see them getting a few more results. So in which case, everything you've said there, Swansea are going to set up in the same way. Ipswich should shred them to pieces.
Well, I'm caught in two minds about it. Is it a case of learn your lesson from that game and don't do that again? But then they kind of did it against Bournemouth in the Cup when that was on. And
absolutely dismantled it.
And then they did it against Leeds, and it's kind of like, again, this is why the doubt is, and maybe I'm leaning towards not including this for the kind of those little doubts, but do they learn the lesson? Or, as Jim Rod's dying in the corner there, do they learn the lesson, or are they just continually stubborn in this approach?
You know why I like Ipswich? And do you know why they fell off? It's the same reason. They lost George Hurst, and he's absolutely crucial. It sounds so obvious, but it needs to be said. He is crucial, having a big, direct, strong, good, quick link-up play, finishing the lot, playing up front, a spearhead to what is a brilliant side. He's obviously going to improve the team. They've lost him. Don't know how long. He's got some sort of muscle injury, hamstring, I think. Could be a grade 2 tear. I've just completely made that up. He's out for a while.
Getting injuries over here.
But they've replaced him with
You love him, don't you?
one of the best, for what their squad needs, one of the best players that they could have got, Kiefer Moore.
Yeah, it's a huge knock-on effect of Premier League, and we've seen it with other players who've come down to the Championship on loan in January.
Fabio Cavallo's
The quality of players that in all positions that were the best players in the Championship and are now just getting loaned back into that division.
Brilliant. I really like to see it. And Kiefer Moore, it's hard to not to say Kiefer Amor with his name, but it's Kiefer Moore. Do you know what I mean? Because I always say Kiefer Amor.
Is that all the French word for love?
Yeah, it
Is
is.
this you getting in your head?
Is it French or Spanish?
Amor.
J'aime.
Amore.
J'amour.
Anyway, Kiefer Moore's been
According
good.
to the
J'adore,
producer, it's
isn't it?
Italian.
Italian.
So there we
Yeah,
go.
we're all wrong.
Anyways, it comes from Jim Rod's love of Kiefer Moore.
And unsurprisingly, the big man going into a team suited for a big man is playing really well. He scored a brace on his debut, came off the bench 45 minutes, didn't score against West Brom, but was a real handful. And then he obviously scored against Millwall. And it's not a surprise that he's doing so well. With Leif Davis is an assist machine. He's one of the best crossers in the division, if not England. This team's just geared up to suit Kiefer Moore. Kiefer Moore. Just geared up to suit the big man. And I didn't look at this game, but I think at the prices, having seen what we've seen from both teams in midweek, I don't see how we can leave Ipswich out.
I was trying to...
I just a final point from me. Swansea have played in the last 5 matches Southampton, Leicester, and Leeds, and they've been absolutely spanked in all 3.
Yeah.
3-1 against Southampton, but Southampton had 3.5 expected goals.
Yeah.
3-1 against Leicester. Again, Leicester had 3 expected goals, and then Leeds go and do it. So Ipswich are at that level. This could be another,
Leeds could have honestly had about 8 in that game.
which would have been good and funny, but not the highest scoring on the night.
Viral clip of Luke Williams talking about his set pieces when he's Notts County manager is a great little insight explanation. But what he fails to mention is the fact that what happens when the players, you're attacking and you've got to leave some players back. Leeds interceptor got into a corner of Swansea's on Tuesday, went ahead. It was like 5-on-2, like 4-on-1. Nonto hit it straight at the keeper. But it's like their defence just gets ripped apart so easily. And the stat I wanted to bring was, I was trying to work this out before. So Luke Williams' teams, he was obviously at Notts County. He's now at Swansea. Went to watch them against Grimsby, didn't I, in August. Jesus Christ, this team cannot defend. His teams have conceded 78 goals in 41 games across all competitions this season. An average of 1.9 goals per game.
That's not good.
That is staggeringly bad for particularly one of the teams that were, whether it's ahead, and they shouldn't be, but were in the League Two title race mix at one point. Defensively, it's a huge concern. The numbers are backing up what we're seeing with our eyes, and having not kind of brought Ipswich to the table but thinking we wouldn't include them, the more we talk about them, the more we're going,
Yes.
having seen them in a recent game against a team who could easily do the same thing, it just feels like, I don't know, it just all looks like Ipswich could win here despite their own iffy form.
I think we get him in.
I think we get him in.
Should we do it? Fair enough then. The third pick of this week's Acca, it's another from the Sky Bet Championship. It's another promotion-chasing side as well. Taking the treble to around the 3-1 marker. We've got Arsenal for an away win at Burnley. It's Leicester to beat Middlesbrough and Ipswich to beat Swansea. Three teams backed then, 3 teams hoping for success both this weekend and this season. And following that trend, actually, I'm going to kick us off again because the price on Bolton at home to Charlton jumped off the page to me. And I know we're wary of teams who've made managerial changes.
Very wary.
Nathan Jones is there. Where's this upturn? There has not been the upturn that perhaps we would have expected.
How many games has he been there now? 1?
Don't worry about it.
Was his
Don't worry
first
about
game of the week? 2.
But I think for this, Charlton are obviously their aim this season will be survival. Of course, just stay in the division. Games away at Bolton, there is no pressure, but frankly, there's probably also not as big of an importance as, say, when you're playing Port Vale or Cheltenham at home or something like that. Bolton are now the best home side in the division after Blackpool have drawn a couple. 11, 2 and 3 record, so 11 wins from their 16 games in front of their own supporters, and largely being good against those teams at the bottom as well, Bolton. Carlisle lost, that was back in early October, and their own form as well. I think their only defeat in their last 10 was away at Leyton Orient. So we have had a managerial change, of course, at Charlton, who we've spoken about so many times on this podcast and the kind of big club element of the pricing. There is a little bit to be wary about that, but you've got a team who've consistently been good at home all season, a team who are not just in the promotion mix, but will still fancy themselves for the title a little bit as well. At home to Charlton, anything less than a win will be seen as a disappointing outcome for them. It's another short price one, but again, I think a lot of people are going to look towards this in their accumulator this week, and I'd like to put it towards ours to make a fourfold around 5.5 to 1. Probably the pick of the League 2 games for me when you look at the other prices floating around. League 1.
League 1. Yeah, and it's the third most popular pick on the poll, so the people agree. And I was just looking then because initial reaction when I saw this game was no, stay away, Nathan Jones just come in. But 2 games, they trailed in both against Reading and Lincoln. Lincoln, extremely low margin team, by the way. And Charlton have only had 4 shots across 2 games. 4 shots on target, across those 2 games. So they're not creating a great deal. And I was thinking, Nathan Jones is such an intense, odd character. Like, maybe he is a brilliant manager, but maybe he was just really well suited to Luton. Like, maybe it was just a culmination of circumstances that really suited him. Because where else has he been? Stoke and Southampton. Got off to terrible starts, sacked on both, like, written off as a silly decision by both clubs. Like, what if other sets of groups of players just aren't on board with his like frantic sort of management style? And this is threatening to be the case at Charlton.
That's the big question mark, isn't it, about Nathan Jones, is the non-Luton environment. The results haven't followed him either. And look, they could well win, of course. They're saying that they've not got a chance here.
Draw as well.
Could draw as well. Or Bolton could win, which is what we're hoping for. It just feels to me that it's a really strong home team who, Charlton will get some results this season, of course, but you're surely looking at the teams around you, not away at the teams at the top. They're bonus points if they come. Great. It won't define their season, though, if they don't get a result away at Bolton.
Yeah, I just wonder how much confidence they're going to take from that equaliser again. I know it's only Lincoln, but that's the kind of injection that you need when you're down there.
Is that not just like relief in a way?
Maybe, but I mean, don't get me wrong, Bolton are by far away superior team to Charlton, and yeah, they probably will win. It's just a case of the price. Are you happy with that price? Were you expecting shorter? I mean, 7 to 10 is the best price currently.
I mean, yeah,
that
to be
is
fair,
too big,
you look around Portsmouth away at Reading, who maybe we can talk about. They're 1 to 2, and Reading have been in good form.
Yeah. Look
at the other prices around and the kind of prices that we're used to seeing on kind of the teams down there.
Yeah, I mean, Bolton were 1 to 2 at home to Cheltenham a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
They're only just behind Charlton. So maybe it is that big club kind of pumping the price out. I think at the price, we've kind of got to back this.
It's a bit big, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit big.
Bolton.
No, I'm with you. Initially, I was like, I'm a bit sceptical with Jones coming in at Charlton, but having heard you both, I'm pretty confident on this. I want them in.
Yeah.
I think the new manager bounce a myth? Feels like a myth.
I don't think
that's to me. Like, you could eventually sort yourself out, but I think there's kind of an expectation. Maybe it's born out of caretaker managers who are around, know the club, cliche, but they're always around the club and go, okay, come on, and the lads know me, I know them, and you see a bit of an upturn. We just kind of talk about Jones coming in there.
I think it's like,
I don't buy into it massively.
Like, no 2 snowflakes are the same. I think it's the same with clubs and managers. Like, context is so key. Like, if everyone hates the manager before a new man comes in, fresh ideas, just lifts the morale around the group. You can see an initial reaction, but thinking about it now, surely it was never going to be the case with Nathan Jones with his track record, especially coming in midway to a season. It's gone terribly at Southampton, and I think it's going to continue to go terribly at Charlton.
I mean, you look at Charlton's fixture list as well. I mean, geez, what a way to start, eh? Obviously, you play Reading, who are a team down there with you. Then Lincoln, who are a team, like you said, low margin, keep things tight. Then they play Bolton, Portsmouth, Derby, back to back to back. And then they go Northampton, which are a decent outfit. So you've got 4 games there in a row that they're probably going to be outsiders in every single one. They'll be lucky to get maybe 3 points from them before it does get a little bit easier. So it's a bit of a baptism of fire for Jones.
Should we take Bolton as the 4th pick?
I think so, yeah.
So the price at the moment, as I said there, we're floating around 5.5 to 1. I mentioned Portsmouth there, actually. So let's talk about it now.
Yeah.
Would you take them at 1-2 to beat Reading?
No.
Yeah, Reading have really had a huge upturn. I know we spoke about them at the Majeski, and they're really good in front of their own supporters, and yet it just seems to be picking up results everywhere at the moment. It's absolutely remarkable, and a huge testament to Ruben Sellers and that group to
100%, yeah. I mean, we didn't really
keep
give
getting
them-
points and kick themselves not completely clear, but a decent bit of breathing room between them and relegation now.
Yeah, 4 points clear. I mean, huge credit because we kind of written them off as relegation fodder fairly early doors, but 6 games unbeaten, including a win against Derby, a win away at Stevenage, another team up there. This price about Portsmouth is way too short. I mean, they've played none of the current top 4 away from home, but they've played 5th, 6th, and 7th, and they're unbeaten in those 3 matches with 1 win. Overall, versus the top 7 this season, they've played 10, won 4, drawn 3, lost 3, which is an incredible record against the best teams in the league.
Yeah, nothing to add, really. I just think this is a massive banana skin coupon buster. Only negative on Reading, like, if you were thinking about going the other way and backing them, is shit.
Come on.
No, they've been lucky.
Fortuitous?
They've been lucky. They've been pretty lucky. The Stevenage win away and the Derby win at home, I think. If you look at the underlying data, they was very, very.
You're bringing underlying data to the table.
Very, very fortunate. And the only other thing was Portsmouth. They had a festive wobble, but since then, 5 wins from the last 6. But look at those wins. They've played 3 of the bottom 4 and Oxford and Northampton. Oxford and Northampton kind of out of form, but the 3 games against the bottom 4, they won each of those by 1 goal.
So
I would not want them anywhere near an Acca. Not at that price.
Should we take a break then and then pick our 5th selection? The 4 that we have so far then that make up this week's Acca, around that 5.5 to 1 marker there. We've got Arsenal away at Burnley, it's Leicester against Middlesbrough, Ipswich to beat Swansea, and as we've just decided there, Bolton for a home win over Charlton. So I'm conscious that I've kicked us off in the last few sections. We are, like I said there, the price is a bit short, so we are going to need one more pick to boost it up. Number of games to go at here. I'll throw it open. Has anyone got anything that they'd like to make a case for?
I know they didn't win for us last week, but I really like Wrexham again this week.
Oh my God.
Yeah. We're getting a bigger price than last week. They've drifted over to even money. They're playing at home to Notts County.
Oh my God.
Notts County, they shafted you boys in midweek.
So, my one, I'll go with anything, but my one thing to say is, are you happy that Wrexham lost to Bradford at home last week?
I'm not happy they lost.
No, we're not happy. Notts County won away at Newt. So 2 teams who have shafted us in different ways in the last 7 days.
Yeah. Well, I think the Wrexham defeat to Bradford was an anomaly. It's going to be a blip. It's the first time this season they've failed to score in front of the home fans. I think they played 15
welcome,
in the league.
Wrexham fans.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's our fault. They played 15 in the league. It was the first time that they'd failed to score. So again, that just highlights how unusual it is. They also conceded in the last minute, so it wasn't like they were losing comfortably for a long period of time. They've won 11 of 15 in total at home, and I fully expect a reaction. Notts County, I know they won the last away game against Newport. It was a vintage Notts County game, though. They created plenty, conceded plenty, and their away record overall is still shocking. They've lost 8 of their 16, won 4, drawn 4. And the clincher for me is that their record against teams above them, so that they are 7th in the league, teams in the top 6, they played 8 times, home and away, drawn 3, lost 5. They're winless against those big teams, and 3 of the defeats have come away from home, which paints a very bad picture for Notts County when they play against good opponents. Bringing up underlying data again. Hooray. Their underlying data has them exactly where they are in the away form table. So that tells you basically that the results have been deserved. They're not like underperforming or being unlucky in terms of their away performances. So I like this a lot.
I do, yeah. Aside from Wrexham's home form, best in the league, we've spoke about a lot. Notts County, point per game away, and look at some of the goals, the amounts of goals they're conceding on the road. Grimsby scored 5 against them, Tranmere 4, Harrogate 3, Wimbledon 4, Colchester 5, Sutton 5 on match day 1. Wrexham are more than capable of hitting several plenty of goals in. Plenty of
You've
goals.
got to factor in a managerial change, but then the managerial change, the appointment that was made was in the mind of
Promoted with him,
continuation
right? Yeah.
from Wealdstone, right? This is obviously a repeat of the best game of last season.
Yeah. Which finished
3-2 to Wrexham. I mean, Ben Foster's not there, but if we have a penalty save in like the 99th minute or whatever it was, that would be nice to win it.
the direct style of play from Wrexham, I think, is going to cause problems for Notts County. And, obviously we get all Hollywood and stuff like that. Deadpool trailer came out last week. Everyone's hyped in Wrexham. Let's get that on there. Get him on the home screen. Get Deadpool on there. But yeah, I, in all seriousness, to do a little.
How are you, Frank?
I expected shorter price here.
Yeah, me too. That's the be all.
I'll be one. I'll happily just go with you guys if you want.
Be all and end all for me is the price. They're longer. They're as long as they've ever been at home.
Ever.
I mean, my other one was Mansfield at Walsall, but that's an away team, and I think I always have some more confidence. We've got 2 in that I fancy, but I can get on board of it. I mean, the Acca, then you're getting above 11.5 to 1, 12 to 1, depending where you go. We'll obviously get that boosted as well at Sky Bet.
Disappointed.
No, I don't know why.
Mate, that's just my voice. I'm a miserable person. I like this Acca. I like Arsenal. I like Leicester. I like Ipswich. I like Bolton. I like that you like Wrexham. So we're all happy.
Everyone's happy.
That fivefold then.
Yep.
Yes, please.
Settle on that one then. 5
Stop
teams
the rot.
backed this week. 5 promotion / Premier League title chasers in that. This week's Acca then. We are starting with Arsenal to win away at Burnley. We've got Leicester at home to Middlesbrough. Ipswich away at Swansea. Bolton at home to Charlton. And then our final home team in this one, it is Wrexham to beat Notts County. And as we say every single week, remember to keep it fun, never bet more than you can afford, and please gamble responsibly. And as ever, get in touch with us on social media, in the YouTube comments, or search Sporting Live Football, and you'll be able to find us that way. And of course, 2 more plugs as I have to do. First is where to find the enhanced Acca when we get that boosted by Sky Bet. Go to sportinglife.com/football on Friday. It'll be there for you to back. And if you haven't already, please follow us and rate us on iTunes, Spotify, or your chosen podcast provider. We will be back, I believe, in some form, because some of us are away, next week.